Commander Ta stood on the bridge of the Horizon Asterisk, his four-fingered hands clasped behind his back. The blue-green planet filled the main view screen. Earth. After centuries of watching from a distance, they would finally set foot on its surface. "Are you nervous, Commander?" Sun asked, joining him at the viewport. The ship's lead archaeologist had studied Earth's history for over 20 years. "Curious, not nervous," Ta said. "Humans have kept to themselves for so long. They trade with us, but never join our councils. They allow our ships in their system, but never on their world." Sun nodded. "Until now." The Horizon Asterisk was a galactic archaeological survey vessel, the first alien ship granted permission to land on Earth itself. Their mission was simple but important: study the many ancient civilizations that had risen and fallen across Earth's history. "It makes no sense," Hyun said, looking up from her datapad. The team's xenobiologist had been reviewing her notes. "No other known world has had so many advanced cultures collapse. Mesopotamia, Indus Valley, Maya, Rapa Nui. The pattern repeats over and over." Jin, their cultural specialist, smiled. "That's why we're here, to solve the mystery." Ta checked the time. "Landing party, prepare for descent. Remember the protocols. Earth may seem primitive compared to council worlds, but these humans have a knack for surprises." The shuttle dropped through Earth's atmosphere, breaking through clouds to reveal the landing site, a flat plain outside a city called Seoul. A small group of humans waited below. "Scanning the welcome party," Hyun reported. 6 humans. No weapons detected. "They don't need weapons," Jin reminded them. "This is their home world. If they wanted us gone, we'd be gone." The shuttle touched down with barely a bump. Ta took a deep breath of filtered air. "Let's meet the locals." The ramp lowered, and Earth's sunlight streamed in. The air smelled different from any world Ta had visited, rich and complex. The gravity pulled slightly stronger than on the ship. A human stepped forward as they exited, tall for their species, with short black hair and formal clothing. The human raised a hand in greeting. "Commander Ta, I am Dr. Han of the United Earth Government. Welcome to Earth." Ta mimicked the greeting gesture. "Thank you for allowing our visit. The Galactic Archaeological Survey has waited many years for this opportunity." Dr. Han smiled. "Times change. Please, introduce your team." Ta presented each member: archaeologist Sun, xenobiologist Hyun, and cultural specialist Jin. Dr. Han nodded to each. "Your timing is fortunate. We recently uncovered new findings at several ancient sites. Your expertise may help us understand our own past better." The human guided them toward ground vehicles, simple but elegant machines that hovered slightly above the ground. "You'll be given access to ruins across Earth," Dr. Han explained as they traveled toward the city. "Göbekli Tepe, Mohenjo-Daro, Easter Island, and others. We only ask that you share your findings with us." "Of course," Tai agreed. "The Council seeks knowledge, not artifacts." Jin leaned close to Tai, speaking quietly. "Notice how easily they granted access. Most species guard their ancient sites carefully." Ta had noticed. Humans were being surprisingly accommodating. "Your people have a reputation for privacy," Ta said to Dr. Han. "May I ask what changed?" The human's expression remained pleasant, but something flickered in their eyes. "Let's just say we believe it's time to better understand our place in the galaxy's history," Dr. Han replied. "And perhaps it's time for the galaxy to better understand us." As their vehicle crested a hill, the sprawling city came into view, a mix of ancient architecture and modern buildings that somehow blended harmoniously. "Tomorrow you begin your work," Dr. Han said. "I think you'll find Earth's history educational." Todd watched the human carefully. There was something left unsaid in those words. A warning, an invitation. Whatever secrets Earth held, they had come to find them. The morning sun beat down on the ancient stones of Göbekli Tepe. Commander Ta wiped his brow as he watched Sun pass her scanner over the carved pillars. After 3 days on Earth, the alien team had split up to cover more ground. These carvings are over 12,000 years old, Sun said. Far older than humans should have been able to create such work. Ta nodded. What does your scanner say? Sun frowned. That's the strange part. I'm picking up trace elements that don't match Earth's normal composition. And look at these markings. She pointed to symbols carved into a pillar. They appear in other ruins across this planet, separated by thousands of years and miles. A human approached them, Dr. Huan, the archaeologist assigned by Dr. Han to assist them. He was a quiet man with careful eyes. Finding anything interesting? Dr. Huan asked. Sun quickly switched her scanner off. Just standard readings. This site is remarkably well preserved. Ta noticed how Sun hid her real findings. Smart. Something about this place made them all cautious. Perhaps you would like to see the newer excavation, Dr. Huan suggested, pointing to an area away from where they had been scanning. Of course, Tai agreed, but made a mental note of where Sun had found the unusual readings. On Easter Island, Jin walked among the giant stone heads, taking photographs. The human guide stayed close, watching every move. These Moai statues weigh many tons, Jin said. How did your ancestors move them without modern technology? The guide smiled. We rolled them on logs, of course. Jin nodded but didn't believe it. Her scans showed something else, microscopic tool marks that no wooden tools could make. Her communicator buzzed. It was Hyun calling from India. Jin, are you alone? Hyun's voice was low. No, Jin replied, glancing at the guide. I need to show you something, when you can talk freely. Tonight, Jin promised, and ended the call. In their hotel that night, the alien team gathered in Ta's room. They had swept for listening devices and set up a signal blocker. Something is wrong with the official story, Hyun said. She displayed images on her tablet. These are samples from Mohenjo-daro in the Indus Valley. The city shows signs of extreme heat damage. Not from normal fire, from something that reached thousands of degrees. Weapons? Tai asked. Yes. And look at this. Hyun showed another image. I found this buried 40 feet below the city. It's a piece of metal that matches nothing on Earth's periodic table. Sun leaned forward. I found similar readings at Göbekli Tepe. Jin added, and I've noticed our human guides always steer us away from certain areas. They're hiding something. Ta paced the room. The humans are being too helpful in some ways, too restrictive in others. They want us to see something specific, but not everything. A knock at the door made them all freeze. Tai approached carefully and opened it. Dr. Han stood in the hallway. May I come in? The human asked. Ta let him enter. Dr. Han looked at their displays, the images of strange artifacts and readings. I see you've begun to notice the inconsistencies, Dr. Han said calmly. You knew we would, Ta said. It wasn't a question. Dr. Han nodded. That's why you were invited. Your species has a reputation for honesty and thoroughness. You're not just looking at what we show you. You're finding what we didn't. What are you hiding? Hyun demanded. The truth about Earth's past. Dr. Han sat down. Your scans have found technology that shouldn't exist in those time periods. Materials that aren't from Earth. Evidence of weapons far beyond what ancient humans could create. Tai felt a chill. Are you saying these civilizations were destroyed by non-humans? Dr. Han's face was grim. I'm saying Earth has a much longer and more complex relationship with the galaxy than your council knows. And tomorrow, I'll show you why we've kept it secret. Jin's voice was barely a whisper. The Guardians. I found references to them in texts from every fallen civilization. Dr. Han looked surprised. You've done more research than we expected. Yes, the Guardians. It's time you learned who they really are. Ta looked at his team. Whatever they had come to Earth to find, It was bigger than any of them had imagined. Hyun stared at the sample under her portable microscope. The small piece of bone had been found at a dig site in Egypt. It looked human, but it wasn't. "Commander, you need to see this," she called to Ta, who was speaking with Dr. Han nearby. Ta walked over and looked through the microscope. "What am I seeing?" "DNA that doesn't match any Earth species, but it's not completely alien either. It's like a mix." Hyun lowered her voice. "I've found similar samples at 3 different sites now, all from different time periods." Dr. Han watched them from a distance, his face calm but his eyes sharp. "Dr. Han," Ta called out, "I think it's time you told us what's really going on." The human nodded. "Not here. Follow me." Their transport flew east, crossing mountains and forests. No one spoke during the journey. Even Jin, usually full of questions, sat in silence. After 2 hours, they descended toward what looked like an ordinary mountain in the Korean peninsula. As they got closer, a section of the mountainside slid open, revealing the hidden entrance. "A secret base," Sun whispered. "One of many," Dr. Han replied. The transport landed in a large underground hangar. Other vehicles were parked there. Some looked like nothing the aliens had seen on Earth's surface. More advanced, more like their own technology. Dr. Han led them to a large metal door. He placed his hand on a scanner, then looked into a light that checked his eyes. "What you're about to see is known to less than 1,000 humans," he said as the door opened. "The true history of Earth." They entered a room filled with displays showing maps of Earth, marked with hundreds of points of light. Each light represents a civilization that reached a certain level of advancement. Dr. Han explained. "Notice anything unusual?" Sun studied the display. "There are too many. Earth shouldn't have had this many advanced societies." "Correct," Dr. Han said. "Now watch." He pressed a button, and the display began to move, showing the rise and fall of civilizations over time. One by one, the lights grew bright, then suddenly went dark. "Each extinction follows the same pattern," Tay observed. "Quick development, then complete collapse." "Yes," Dr. Han agreed. "But why?" Hyun stepped forward. "My samples suggest non-Earth involvement." Dr. Han nodded. Earth wasn't just developing on its own. We had help. And then we had visitors. He led them to another room with artifacts protected behind clear barriers. Weapons, devices, and materials that looked far too advanced for ancient humans. "These were recovered from various sites," Dr. Han said. "The oldest is from 15,000 years ago. A weapon that doesn't match any known Earth metal." Jin gasped as she looked at a stone tablet covered in symbols. "These are the same markings I found at Easter Island, and they match writings from Mexico." "How is that possible?" "Because they're not human writings," Dr. Han said simply. "They're warnings." Todd felt a chill run through him. Warnings about what? About them. Dr. Han pointed to a large screen showing what looked like a star map. "The ones who came whenever we advanced too quickly. The ones who destroyed Göbekli Tepe, Mohenjo-Daro, and dozens of other civilizations when they developed technology too fast." "Why would aliens destroy developing civilizations?" Sun asked. "That's the important question," Dr. Han said. "And the answer is something your Galactic Council doesn't know or doesn't want known." Dr. Han pressed another button, and a hidden door opened, revealing a dark passageway. "It's time you met the Guardians," he said. "The survivors who have been preparing for thousands of years. The ones who know the truth about Earth's place in the galaxy." As they walked through the door, Tay realized that whatever they had expected to find on Earth, the reality was far more dangerous and far more important. The dark passageway led deep into the mountain. The walls were smooth, cut by technology far beyond what humans should have had even now. Tay touched one wall, feeling the strange warmth it gave off. "How old is this facility?" he asked Dr. Han. "The oldest sections are over 5,000 years old," Dr. Han replied. "It has been expanded many times since." Jin gasped. That's impossible. Humans didn't have this technology 5,000 years ago. We didn't build it alone, Dr. Hand said simply. They reached a large circular door that slowly opened on their approach. Inside was a massive round room. In the center stood a table with a glowing map of the galaxy. Around it stood 5 humans in simple white clothing. "Welcome," said an older human with gray hair. "I am Kang, head guardian. We've waited a long time to have this conversation." The alien team looked at the galaxy map. It showed movement patterns that Tai recognized as Starfleet deployments from thousands of years ago. "Please, sit," Kang invited, gesturing to empty chairs. "We have much to discuss." Once seated, Kang touched the table. The galaxy map zoomed in on Earth. "Your mission was to discover why so many Earth civilizations rose and fell," Kang said. "The truth is simple but hard to accept. Earth was a battleground long before humans evolved." The map showed different colored lights approaching Earth from various directions. Different alien species found Earth suitable for their own purposes, Kang continued. Some wanted resources, others wanted to test weapons, and some saw potential in the primitive apes that would become humans. Hyun leaned forward. "The DNA samples I found." "Yes," Kang nodded. "Some aliens changed early humans, making us smarter, stronger. They helped our civilizations grow quickly." The map shifted, showing bright spots of light on Earth, ancient cities growing. "But others didn't want humans to advance," Kang said, his voice hardening. "They attacked each time we reached certain technology levels." The map showed bright flashes as cities disappeared. Göbekli Tepe, Mohenjo-Daro, the Maya, Easter Island, all attacked and destroyed from above, Kang said. "But each time, some humans survived. Some remembered." Sun looked shocked. "You're saying all those civilizations were destroyed by alien attacks, not natural disasters or wars?" "Yes," Dr. Han said. "The survivors hid underground. They saved what knowledge they could. They passed down the truth through secret groups. They became the guardians." Tai felt cold. "Why are you telling us this? These attacks happened thousands of years ago." Kang's eyes were hard. "Because some of the attacking species still exist. Some are now members of your galactic council." The room fell silent. Ta tried to process this information. Could it be true? Could council members have once attacked Earth? "We have proof," Kang said, as if reading his thoughts. He touched the table again. A new image appeared, a crashed ship partially buried in ice. The design was familiar. It was similar to ships used by the Novan people, current council members, and close allies of Ta's species. "This crashed 10,000 years ago after attacking what you call Atlantis," Kang said. "We've kept it hidden, along with dozens of others." "Why didn't humans join the council when contacted?" Jin asked. "Why stay isolated?" Kang smiled without humor. "Would you join a group that includes those who tried to destroy your ancestors?" "We needed time. Time to prepare. Time to build our defenses without anyone knowing." "Defenses?" Tai asked. Dr. Han nodded. "Humans appear primitive by council standards. That is intentional. What we show the galaxy and what we actually have are very different things." Kang stood up. "Come. It's time you saw what humans have really been doing for the past few thousand years." Kang led the group to what looked like a simple elevator. When the doors closed, Ta felt the floor drop quickly beneath them. They were going deep, much deeper than before. "How far down are we going?" Sun asked, gripping a handrail. 2 miles beneath the surface, Kang answered calmly. The main facility needed to be well hidden. The elevator stopped, and the doors opened to reveal an enormous cavern. Not a natural cave, but a space carved from the rock. It stretched farther than Tai could see, filled with activity. Thousands of humans worked at stations with technology that looked nothing like what Tai had seen on Earth's surface. Some of the devices appeared even more advanced than what the Galactic Council used. "This is impossible," Hyun whispered. "Humans aren't supposed to have this level of technology." That's what we wanted everyone to think, Dr. Han said with pride in his voice. For thousands of years, we've maintained two worlds, the one we show to outsiders and the real one. They walked along a high pathway that gave them a view of the entire facility. Below, humans were building machines that Tay recognized as advanced weapons systems and defensive shields. The Guardians formed after the first major attack, about 12,000 years ago, Kang explained. Survivors from each destroyed civilization joined us, bringing their knowledge and their anger. But how could primitive humans fight back against space-capable species? Jin asked. Kang smiled. We were never as primitive as we appeared, and we learned from each attack. We saved technology from the crashed ships. We studied it, improved it. They reached a large window overlooking another cavern. This one held something that made Tai freeze in shock, a fleet of spacecraft. Not simple vessels, but warships with designs unlike anything in the Council fleet. You have a space fleet. Tai's voice was barely a whisper. Several, hidden throughout the solar system, Kang confirmed. When your council finally contacted Earth 300 years ago, we already had ships exploring nearby star systems. We just made sure you never detected them. Dr. Han touched a control panel on the wall. A large screen lit up, showing a map of Earth surrounded by a web of small dots. This is our defense grid, Dr. Han explained. 5,000 satellites with cloaking technology. The Council thinks Earth has less than 50 satellites, all primitive communication devices. Sun studied the display with wide eyes. This is beyond even Council technology. We had motivation to advance quickly, Kang said. Fear is a powerful driver of innovation. Jin looked troubled. If humans have all this power, why reveal it to us now? Why take the risk? Kang and Dr. Han exchanged looks. Because we detected something coming, Kang said. Something large from the direction of the galactic core. The same direction the previous attacks came from. He touched the screen, showing a distant cluster of objects moving slowly toward Earth's solar system. We believe they're coming to finish what they started thousands of years ago, Dr. Han added. But this time, we won't be easy targets. Ta stared at the screen, his mind racing. The Council knows nothing about this approaching force. We should warn them. That's partly why you're here, Kang said. We needed to know if your species could be trusted with the truth. Earth needs allies, but only those who aren't connected to our ancient enemies. Ta looked at his team, then back at the human leaders. What exactly are you asking us to do? He asked. Help us, Dr. Han said simply. Help us prepare the Council for what's coming. But first, there's more you need to see. The group followed Kang through a series of security doors. Each one required different keys, hand scans, eye checks, and voice commands. Finally, they reached a round room with walls lined with what looked like metal boxes. Welcome to the archives, Kang said with pride. The true history of Earth, preserved for over 15,000 years. Ta looked around, confused. These are just metal boxes. Dr. Han walked to one wall and pressed his hand against it. A box slid out, and he opened it carefully. Inside was a stone tablet covered in strange markings. This is the oldest record we have, Dr. Han explained. It describes the first attack on human civilization, before we even had writing. The survivors carved what they saw into stone. Sun stepped closer to examine the tablet. Her scanner hummed as she passed it over the surface. This stone was superheated, then rapidly cooled, she said. And these markings, they show vessels descending from the sky, shooting beams of light. Kang nodded. Now you understand. This has happened many times throughout our history. He pressed a button on the wall, and the center of the room opened. A round table rose from the floor, its surface glowing with light. It projected images in the air above it, scenes from ancient battles. We've been recording everything, Kang said. Every attack, every weapon used against us, every ship design. The images changed rapidly, showing different alien vessels attacking Earth cities throughout history. Ta gasped when he recognized several ship designs. One looked exactly like an ancient Novan war vessel. Another matched early Centauri patrol ships. Both species were now important council members. "Your people kept all this secret?" Jin asked in amazement. "We had to," Dr. Han replied. After each attack, the survivors would hide underground. They would rebuild, but differently. Each time, we kept more technology hidden. Each time, we appeared more primitive than we actually were. Kang touched the table again. New images appeared. Humans salvaging crashed alien ships, studying the technology, building their own versions. "We learned from our enemies," Kang said. "We took their weapons and made them better. We took their shields and made them stronger." Hyun looked troubled. But why would advanced species attack developing civilizations? What threat could early humans pose? Kang's face grew serious. "That's the question that took us thousands of years to answer." He touched the table again. A new image appeared. A star map showing hundreds of dead worlds. Planets where life had evolved, but then suddenly disappeared. "We found records in the crashed ships," Kang explained. "Earth wasn't the first. These attackers have been destroying developing civilizations across the galaxy for millions of years." "But why?" Ta pressed. "Fear," Dr. Han said simply. "Fear of competition. Fear of what we might become." Kang nodded. "There is something about Earth life, something in our evolution pattern. We advance quickly. Too quickly for their comfort. They saw what we might become in just a few thousand years, and they tried to stop it." Tae's mind raced. Could this be true? Could council members have been part of a systematic destruction of developing species? "We have proof," Kang said, seeing the doubt on Ta's face. He touched the table again. A new image appeared, a recording from inside an alien ship. The beings on screen were clearly ancestors of the Novans. They were discussing the human problem and the need to reset Earth's development before humans became uncontrollable. "This recording is from 9,000 years ago," Kang said, "right before they destroyed what you call Atlantis." Tai felt sick. "I need to report this to the council." "That's why we're showing you," Dr. Han said. "But be careful who you tell. Some council members won't want this history revealed." Kang looked at Ta with intense eyes. "And there's something even more important you need to know." Kang led them to a small room off the archives. Inside was a single screen showing deep space. Tiny dots of light moved slowly across the black. 3 months ago, our deep space sensors detected this," Kang said, pointing to the screen. "A fleet, larger than anything we've seen before." Dr. Han touched the screen, zooming in. The dots became ships, hundreds of them, moving in formation. "They're coming from the galactic core," Dr. Han explained. "The same direction all previous attacks came from." Tai studied the ships. Their design was unlike anything he had seen before, but something about them felt familiar. "Have you shared this with the council?" he asked. "No," Kang said firmly. "The council doesn't know about our advanced sensors, and we have reason to believe some council members might already know about this fleet." Sun looked shocked. "You think council members are working with these attackers?" "We don't know," Dr. Han admitted. "But we know some of the species who attacked us in the past now sit on your council. We needed to be careful. That's why we invited your team here," Kang added. "Your species has no connection to past attacks on Earth. You have a reputation for fairness. We needed someone we could trust." Hyun pointed to the screen. "How long until they reach Earth?" "At current speed, 6 months," Dr. Han answered. "But they recently increased their speed. Now we estimate 4 months." Tae's mind raced. The council should be warned. This fleet could threaten many worlds, not just Earth. "Yes," Kang agreed. "But we need your help to do it properly. Some council members will dismiss our warning as human paranoia. Others might try to stop the message completely." Jin looked confused. "If humans have such advanced technology, why do you need our help at all?" Your ships and weapons seem more powerful than the Council's. Dr. Han smiled sadly. We are strong, but not strong enough to fight alone. This fleet is massive, and we still don't know exactly who they are or what weapons they have. We need allies, Kang said simply, but only those we can trust. Tad thought for a moment. I can contact certain council members directly. Those who would listen without prejudice. That's what we hoped, Kang said. But first, you need to understand what you're really asking them to fight. Kang pressed another button. A new image appeared. An ancient stone carving. It showed a tall, thin being with multiple arms. This image appears in ruins across Earth, Kang explained. The oldest is from 20,000 years ago. We call them the Directors. Directors? Sun asked. Because they never attack directly, Dr. Han said. They direct others to do it for them. We believe they find developing civilizations, then manipulate other species to destroy them. But why? Jin asked. Control, Kang said. They seem to guide the evolution of the galaxy itself, removing any species that might develop too quickly or in ways they don't like. Tai stared at the carving. You think these directors are behind the approaching fleet? We're almost certain. Dr. Han nodded. Our sensors detected energy signatures at the center of the fleet that match recordings from previous attacks. What will you do if they reach Earth? Hyun asked quietly. Kang's face hardened. Fight. We've been preparing for thousands of years. No more hiding our technology. No more pretending to be primitive. This time, we're ready. Ta made his decision. I'll help you contact the Council. But they'll need proof. We have proof, Kang said. More than you can imagine. The question is, which council members can be trusted with it? Ta looked at his team. They all nodded in agreement. I think I know where to start, he said. Tai sat alone in a small room, thinking about everything he had learned. The door opened, and Dr. Han entered with a tray of food and drinks. You haven't eaten in hours, Dr. Han said, placing the tray on a table. Your team is resting. You should too. Tai took a drink but remained standing. I need to ask you something, Dr. Han. The truth. Go ahead. This whole expedition was a test, wasn't it? Tai asked. You didn't just invite any archaeological team. You chose us specifically. Dr. Han smiled. You're very perceptive, Commander Tai. Yes, we chose your team carefully. How long have humans been watching Council species? Tai asked. Centuries, Dr. Han admitted. We have small, undetectable ships that observe Council worlds. We study your cultures, your politics, your military. Todd wasn't surprised. After everything he had seen, this made sense. Your species interested us, Dr. Han continued. No connection to past attacks on Earth. Strong ethical principles. And you, Commander Ta, you have a reputation for fairness, for seeing beyond politics. So I was chosen, Ta said quietly. Yes, we needed someone who would listen to evidence before making judgments, someone who would help us reach the right people in the Council. The door opened again. Kang entered with Sun, Hyun, and Jin. Your team has been asking similar questions, Kang said. They deserve to know the full truth too. Sun stepped forward. The approaching fleet has changed course again. It's moving faster now. Kang nodded grimly. They'll reach our solar system in 3 months, not 4. We need to act quickly. I've been thinking about how to approach the Council, Ta said. We need to contact specific members first, those with no historical connection to Earth attacks. We agree, Kang said. But there's a problem. Standard Council communications are monitored. If we send a warning about the fleet, certain Council members might try to block it. Or worse, Dr. Han added, they might alert the fleet that we know they're coming. Jin looked alarmed. You think some Council members are actively working with these directors? We don't know, Kang said, but we can't take the risk. Hyun had been quiet, but now she spoke. What about using human technology? You said you have advanced communication systems. Dr. Han nodded. We have quantum communication that can't be intercepted. But using it would reveal to the Council that humans have technology we've been hiding. It's time to stop hiding, Ta said firmly. The threat is too great. Kang studied Ta's face. You've made your decision then. Yes, I choose to stand with Earth. Whatever secrets you've kept, whatever technology you've hidden, it's justified. I've seen the evidence. Kang pressed a button on his wrist. A hidden door in the wall slid open, revealing a small room with advanced communication equipment. This will let us contact Council members directly, without others knowing, Kang explained. We've prepared messages for 17 specific Council members we believe we can trust. Ta looked at the equipment. And you want me to send these messages? Yes, Dr. Han said. Coming from you, a respected Council scientist, they'll be taken more seriously. Ta nodded. I'll do it, but I want to add my own observations, my own testimony about what I've seen here. Of course, Kang agreed. As Tai prepared to send the messages, an alarm suddenly blared throughout the facility. What's happening? Sun asked, covering her ears. Dr. Han checked a small screen on his wrist. His face paled. The fleet has accelerated again, he said. They'll be here in weeks, not months. Kang's voice was grim. They know we've detected them. We're out of time. Ta looked at the communication system. Then we need to warn the Council now. Yes, Kang agreed. It's time for the galaxy to learn what's really been happening on Earth. 3 weeks later, Ta stood on the bridge of the human flagship Guardian *. Through the view screen, he could see hundreds of ships gathered around Earth. Some were human vessels, finally revealed to the galaxy. Others belonged to Council species who had responded to their warning. The Council is still divided. Sun reported, joining him at the viewport. 11 species sent ships to help. 6 refused. The others are still debating. Typical Council, Ta said with a small smile. Debating while the galaxy is in danger. The door opened, and Admiral Sung entered the bridge. The human commander had a presence that filled the room. Behind him walked Kang and Dr. Han. The enemy fleet will exit faster than light travel in 30 minutes, Admiral Sung announced. All defensive systems are ready. The bridge crew worked quietly at their stations, humans and aliens working side by side. In the 3 weeks since the warning had been sent, many things had changed. Earth had finally revealed its true technology level. Some Council members were shocked. Others were angry. But faced with the approaching threat, many chose to stand with Earth. Any word from the Novans or Zentari? Tai asked, knowing these species had been implicated in past attacks on Earth. The Novans denied everything and refused to help. Dr. Han said, the Zentari leadership is divided. Some younger Zentari have joined us, against their elders' wishes. Kang looked troubled. We've detected unusual communications from some Council ships. We think they may be contacting the enemy fleet. Traitors, Sun whispered. Admiral Sung remained calm. It doesn't matter. We're as ready as we'll ever be. A young human officer looked up from her station. Admiral, the enemy fleet is dropping out of FTL early. They're here. The view screen changed to show space beyond Earth's orbit. Hundreds of dark ships appeared, their hulls covered in strange symbols. At the center was a massive vessel unlike the others. The director ship, Kang said quietly. A communication request flashed on the screen. Admiral Sung nodded, and the screen changed again. A tall, thin being appeared. It had multiple arms and gray skin. Its large eyes studied them coldly. Humans of Earth, it said in a voice that seemed to echo. Your interference in galactic development ends today. Your civilization has been reset 7 times before. This will be the final time. Admiral Sung stepped forward. You've attacked Earth many times, but you don't know what humans really are. You don't know what you created. The director seemed unmoved. Your species advances too quickly. Your pattern of development is dangerous to galactic stability. You must be contained. No, Admiral Sung said simply. Not this time. The director's eyes narrowed. Your primitive defenses cannot stop us. We have directed the destruction of hundreds of worlds. Earth is just one more. Admiral Sung smiled. It wasn't a friendly smile. You don't understand what you're facing, he said. Every time you attacked us, we got stronger. Every civilization you destroyed taught us more. We remember. We learned. We waited. The director seemed to hesitate for the first time. Your species will be reset. It repeated, but with less certainty. No, Admiral Sung said. We're done hiding. We're done pretending to be less than we are. You wanted to keep us weak, but you made us stronger. You wanted to keep us divided, but you united us. Admiral Sung looked at Tai and his team, then back at the director. This time, he said, we're ready. The director's image vanished from the screen. The enemy ships began to move forward. All ships, defensive positions, Admiral Sung ordered. Activate planetary shield. A blue glow surrounded Earth as the hidden defense grid activated. The human fleet moved to meet the enemy, joined by their council allies. As the battle began, Ta finally understood the truth about Earth's ancient civilizations. They weren't destroyed. They were forged, tempered like steel, into something far more dangerous than the directors could have imagined. Humanity was ready for its stand.